This is video 2 and I'll be splitting this video in 4 parts. First part will be about the investment that I've done before. I'll break it down in more detail. The second part is the marketing work that I've done for the first set of keycaps that I've sold. The third part is going to be the future plans, and the fourth part of the video will be the other rules that I've actually invented or modified from the past video or after the first video. So with number 1, the investments that I've done. So as I've discussed in the last video, I've started working on this project since June of 2019. So when I did the research on the market, I did research on the community, on the products, and how everything was functioning. It took a while to get used to all the information that I was gathering, and what I did my research through Reddit and Discord. My research through Discord went through more of talking to people individually or seeing how the conversation is flowing. However, on Reddit, on the specific subreddit Mechanical Keyboards and Mech Market, I found out how the dynamic is, what are people looking for, and how the whole community works overall. So back then, during those days, I also spent some money actually researching how the market actually worked. I had also friends during that time at my previous internship where they were all buying keycaps, so it was a good way for us to see how the keycaps were coming, what the people were putting in the package other than the keycaps, and it was very interesting to see what the level of expectation was in the market. The second part of the research process was about how current keycap makers make the keycaps. Some of them were making them through 3D printing, others were making it through casting, and some were making it with clay. And for me, I had to find the best way possible just to look at the amount of resources that I have and how much it's going to cost me, the initial investment that it was going to cost me before I entered the venture. So did some research into the existing tools that I had around me. I have my school, which offers me a bunch of technology. I had to actually look at whether I could actually learn to use those technologies and whether they were accessible to me. I did some research on marketing. I really wanted to see how I would be able to market myself once I enter the market. I looked at how people were selling their keycaps on Reddit. They were selling it through Google Forms. So some had Shopify websites set up, some were selling it on Etsy, and others were selling it on eBay. All selling types had different standards. When people were not interested in selling through raffles or through any other methods, they just wanted to have a storefront that was custom to them, they used Shopify. That seemed like an easy process, although Shopify has some upfront costs, and Shopify also takes a cut from all your transactions. The next part of the investment process is the training that I had to go through. I knew that a bunch of people were doing 3D printing, so then I trained myself to learn how to 3D design objects until I knew how to 3D design keycaps. Learning how to 3D design took me around from June till December, I would say. 3D designing was a very tedious process for me just because I had zero experience whatsoever. The whole process of learning how to 3D print took me from September all the way up to December of 2019. It was pretty tedious considering the amount of trial and error that went through the whole process. I printed a bunch of keycaps at the beginning. This was my first ever keycap, just because I did not know the importance of scaling and exporting properly. So I just designed it on Fusion 360. It was supposed to be a cheese on top of a keycap with a Cherry MX stem and everything. And just because I didn't know the importance of scaling and the importance of dimensions, I ended up printing this miniature keycap. For reference, this is the size of an actual normal keycap. A bunch of trial and error. I got to print like a bunch of keycaps. I got to experience the whole level of accuracy needed. I got to experience what it took to actually use a 3D printer. And that not only costed my time, considering printing one keycap takes around 4 hours. Most of my trial and errors amounted to around $30, which I wouldn't say is much. But if I was to be printing bigger items, they would have been really expensive. A bunch of times I do mistakes. Even last week I was printing a keycap for a custom order that I got last week, and that costed me $2 just because I made some mistake while curing it and it just melted in my hand. So there's always this learning process while trying to set up the business, but it's essential just so that I know all the mistakes that I can make before automating the whole process. Moving on to the second part of the video, the marketing aspect. As soon as I got finished with designing this boy right here, I thought that I would have to find a way to put it online and market it. So what I did was I went and created a Shopify website. I had several alternatives. I had Amazon Handmade, I had Shopify, and I had Squarespace. Amazon Handmade would be the cheapest process possible, considering that I wouldn't have to pay for anything. But once I signed up for it, I was redirected to the Amazon seller space, or whatever it's called, and was not the most user-friendly process. And also, I'm not sure whether Amazon really ships to most countries, and a bunch of the people that are interested in keyboards and artisan keycaps come from the Philippines and Taiwan, so I did not want to block those people out of my range. That's why I eliminated Amazon Handmade from the whole process. I was going to try Squarespace as well. I have my own website where I've curated all of my work in one place, and I wanted to find a way where I could add another piece on top of it where I could just sell keycaps on one part of my website. However, Squarespace would actually cost me $100 more per year, considering I pay per year, which I did not want on myself. So that's why I chose Shopify. Shopify costed me $30 to set up my store. It was a very easy process, and I just had to upload my keycap, upload some artwork, and my website was already set up. It was a very seamless process. Then I had to go advertise my Shopify website on the subreddits where people were actually interacting. With posting on Reddit, there's also the part of following the rules. Reddit is a very strict website. People are really focused in their communities. So I had to actually follow by the rules, know the syntax, know what the users need for my posts before I could post. It didn't take long, but I actually had to draft my post before actually posting it, just to make sure that I have everything covered and I don't press post by mistake. I also spent 4 hours making artwork for the keycap, considering I made the Garfield keycap from a subreddit called I'm Sorry John, which is a horror fan fiction type of subreddit for Garfield. So I created some artwork just so that I could advertise it on that subreddit, but also on my website. So then after that, I posted the artwork and my listing on Reddit, Instagram, and it didn't get as much traction as I thought it would, considering that on the subreddit where people sell artisan keycaps, there was a lot of activity going on at that time. A bunch of people were posting at the same time, so my post got pushed down. At the end of the day, I got 2 customers. I was really happy when I got 2 customers.
Okay, I just want to put this on my story. This is the first person to purchase one of my keycaps.
So on the first day, my Shopify website got around 200 visitors from the advertising that I did. At the end of the day, I only got 2 purchases, all of which amounted to $70. I would say that I am very happy that I got 2 sales, but I also realized from the whole effort that I put in that selling in a Shopify store gets you less sales rather than using the Google Forms and selling through raffles. However, I'm very happy. I'm going to ship my orders to my first 2 customers, and I am going to try to re-strategize. So now on to part 3 of the video. What are my future plans? So my future plans are finish my existing keycap prints. I got 1 custom order from someone who actually wanted a normal Garfield keycap, so I got this done for him. I also have to ship this one out to my first customer. I also want to figure out how to better plan raffles. Even though Google Forms are the least pleasant option, I will try to go through Google Forms. I wish that there was a better solution to host raffles without it being a Google form, and I wish it was also more secure for the people while they're going through the whole process. Considering I also recently just started my full-time job, I want to actually streamline my workflow in such a way that I don't have to wait until I come home at 7 p.m. and then I'm going to the lab to get it printed, and then it's only until the next day that I can see how it turned out. I want to streamline my whole workflow. The best thing that could happen is that I have all the machines that I'm using at my school lab at home, but those machines are really expensive. The reason why my production cost is so cheap is because I'm using it at the expense of my school and I'm only paying for the keycap. But if I had the machines at home, I would have to pay for the machines, I would have to pay for the printing filament, and I have to pay every printer related cost associated with that printer. So for now, I am just trying to figure out a better way that I can streamline my work. I don't know whether my work should stay on my school campus. Maybe I should move it to a makerspace around. There are a bunch of makerspaces in Chicago. I might move to M-Hub. I really want to move to M-Hub just because we have all the equipment necessary, but that again entails another cost. Which brings me to part 4 of the video, which is the new rules. The new rules of the videos are that all the money that I'm going to be spending moving forward on my keycap businesses or on any business moving forward will have to come from the money that I make through selling those keycaps. So let's say I wanted to buy those printers that I was talking about. I would have to make enough money for selling keycaps to be able to buy those printers. I don't want to spend money from the money that I make through my full-time job or anything, just so that I can make it more challenging. The second rule of the videos that I want to modify is I said that I want to post every 10 days. I feel like 10 days is too long considering so many things happen during those during the days when I'm working on them. So I'm going to be posting maybe every 7 days. So every Sunday I'll be posting a new video. See you next Sunday.